like to thank you for joining us in our study of 2 Corinthians. Today we're in 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, and verse number 22. We're going to attempt to finish this chapter today and finish this subject of taking of an offering. We talked yesterday about three men, and we never mentioned the third man because he doesn't appear until verse number 22. The third man. Now, let's go to verse number 22 and we'll find out what's going on. And we have sent with them our brother. Now, notice he's talking and he's saying, we have sent with them. Who is the them? Titus and we believe Luke. But we have sent with them another person. Now, who is this other person that they sent with them? Who is this third person? He says, whom we have often tested and found diligent in many things, but now even more diligent because of his great confidence in you. Who is this third person? Now he's not named here in Corinthians. We believe that this third person that the Apostle Paul sent with them is the man by the name of Trophimus. Now, Trophimus is mentioned in the book of Acts. Acts, the 20th chapter, verse number 4 says this, and he was accompanied by Sopater in Berea and a bunch of other guys, Aristarchus and Secundus and Gaius and Timothy and Tychicus and Trophimus. What's being mentioned here in the book of Acts? It's talking about Paul's journey from Macedonia, actually from Corinth, then Macedonia, then over eventually to Ephesus, and then over into Jerusalem to deliver this offering. And notice who's there. His name is Trophimus of Asia. Trophimus of Asia was a man who was tested. Paul knew this man. He knew this man had been tried. He knew that he'd been approved of. He knew that this man was a good man. We don't talk much about Trophimus. We knew that he was a good man. Trophimus is accompanying the Apostle Paul. He's accompanying Tychicus, which is also the name Titus, and he's accompanying Timothy. And he's going with them with this offering towards Jerusalem. Now, we don't know for sure whatever happened to Luke. He may have been there, but because Luke was a Gentile, his name wasn't mentioned in this group. Now, again, the point is this. The Apostle Paul has set up an accountability structure for this offering. He has got several men. Three of them we know or are pretty sure of their identity. They're Titus, Luke, and Trophimus. And what are they doing? They are sent to watch over this offering so that no one can discredit in the way that the Apostle Paul uses this money. Now, some might say, well, why did Paul need all of these guys? Well, let's just think about that for a minute. Paul needed all those guys because this offering was not Venmo. Now, I love Venmo when I use Venmo. But how many of you know that this offering was gold and silver coins and jewels? It wasn't paper money. It took a lot of people to carry this offering, which it took a year for the city of Corinth to take this offering. We talked about that earlier this week. It was a big offering. It was a lot of weight. I believe one of the reasons, that Paul actually went by land instead of going by ship, it's because the Jews were threatening, the Judaizers were threatening the Apostle Paul. If you get on that ship, we're going to steal that offering. And I believe that the Apostle Paul is saying, you know what, we have got to take this on foot. We have got to carry this offering all the way around to the city of Jerusalem. So accountability is a major, major component of taking an offering. The Apostle Paul knew the Corinthians. He knew of their diligence. Now notice what he says in the end of verse number 22. He says, now even more diligent because of his great confidence in you. Why was Trophimus diligent? Because he was confident in what God was doing in the Corinthians. He knew with all confidence that God was at work in the church in Corinth. Now let's move on to verse number 23. As for Titus, he's my partner and fellow worker among you. What's he saying? Titus is my partner. He's my companion. He's working right alongside of me. As for Titus, he is my partner and he's a fellow worker among you. Now notice what he says here. As for our brethren, they are messengers of the churches, a glory to Christ. Now some of you are not going to like what I say, very possibly. But this word messenger, it's the Greek word apostolos. It means an apostle. An apostle. Who were these men? Who were these three men that the Apostle Paul is sending? They were apostles. Now, there's some people that have taken the office of apostle and they've raised it way up, and they say, I am an apostle, call me apostle so-and-so. Well, you know what? These three men, Titus, Luke, and Trophimus, the Apostle Paul calls them and says, they are messengers of the church. And the word messengers here is the same Greek word. They are apostles of the church. They are sent out from the church. We already looked at that, how Luke was sent out from the church. The word apostle basically means one who was sent out. So the Apostle Paul is saying that they're my partner, they're my fellow worker. In other words, they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And then he goes, and as for our brethren, as for Titus, for Luke, for Trophimus, they are messengers of the church. And then he ends verse number 23 with these words, a glory to Christ. These people, their lives are a glory to Christ. And verse number 24, therefore openly before the churches, show them the proof of your love and of your reason for boasting about you. What's Paul saying? He's saying to the Corinthians, he's saying, therefore, openly before the churches. Now notice he says the churches. He's talking about all the churches. You know, the Apostle Paul is going to carry this offering to Macedonia, to Philippi, to Thessalonica. And he's going to also carry this offering over to Ephesus. And he's going to carry this offering, I believe, over to Antioch. And he's going to carry this offering over to Jerusalem. There are a lot of churches that are going to hear about what the Corinthians did. And when they hear about it, they're going to know the love of the Corinthians. And they're going to know why the Apostle Paul has so much faith and is boasting about this wonderful church, this reconciled church, the church at Corinth. Thank you for joining us this week. Join us again next week as we continue our study in the book of 2 Corinthians. Thank you for watching.